Russia was ruled by the Romanov family. They first came to power in 1613 from Michael I, took the Russian throne for 3 centuries until the last emperor Nicholas II. The dynasty expanded the country borders, making it the largest in the world. But despite their achievements and greatness, many people wanted to get rid of them. In the late 19th century, Alexander II was assassinated by members of the revolutionary organization called Narodnaya Volya, which means people's will. The primary goal was to overthrow the autocratic Romanov regime and establish a socialist society. The group's ideology comes from the Marxist theory, influenced by German philosophers Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. The theory advocates for the working class to overthrow capitalism and create a society where everyone should have the same social, economic, cultural, political, and education system. There was no great revolution following the death of Tsar Alexander II. His son Alexander III succeeded to the throne, and he decided to come down hard on Russia. The People's Will movement continued, and there was another attempt to assassinate Alexander III, which was discovered by the authorities before it could be carried out. Several members were arrested and executed. One of them was Alexander Ulyanov, the elder brother of Vladimir Ulyanov, better known as Vladimir Lenin. He entered the underground revolutionary movements following the path laid out by his brother, and later he would be tracked by the authorities, which they captured him, and he was exiled in Siberia for 3 years. After his exile was ended in 1900, he travels across Western Europe, where he continued to develop his revolutionary ideas. Nicholas II comes to the throne after his father's death, and Russian Empire goes to war against Japanese Empire in 1904, the Russo-Japanese War, which Russia lost the war. Being lost in a war for the people, it was a disgraceful and humiliating defeat, where their lives been just thrown away in a hopeless war against the Japanese. Nicholas's reign was marked by a series of crises and failures. The factories weren't paying properly, and there were shortages. Poor and long hours working led to protest against Russian Emperor. In 1905, imperial troops opened fire, killing and injuring hundreds of unarmed civilians. The event known as the Bloody Sunday, and it weakened the legitimacy of Nicholas's rule. Further weakening imperial reputation comes after Rasputin, when Nicholas's only son, Alexei, had been diagnosed with hemophilia. A Siberian mystic and holy man seemed to be the only who cured him, and he became deeply influential in the Russian imperial family, particularly with Nicholas's wife, Alexandra. Many saw Rasputin as a symbol of the corruption. Everyone started to hate Rasputin and eventually killing him. In the 1914 World War I started, and Russia played a significant role in that war as part of the Allied powers alongside France, Britain, and the United States. However, its involvement was marked by military struggles and internal instability, and before even the war ended, the revolution began in 1917. The humiliating defeat in the Russo-Japanese War, the Bloody Sunday event, Rasputin's influence and military struggles in World War I, all led to Nicholas' abdication and forced him and his family into exile to Siberia for safekeeping. Vladimir Lenin heard the revolution and returned from Switzerland to Russia, and quickly became the most powerful man in Russia. Lenin was very good at using black arts and propaganda. He was the leader of the Bolshevik Red Army and led to the establishment of the Soviet Union, and he ended the war with Germany through the peace treaty in 1918. And the revolution led to the Civil War, Bolshevik against the Whites forces, who served under the Tsarist government. During the Civil War, Nicholas and his family were still in Russia, the Bolshevik leaders fearing that he could become a rallying point for counter-revolutionaries, and decided to execute the imperial family. Nicholas and his whole family were shot and murdered in 1918, ending the Romanovs' era that had lasted for 3 centuries. The Civil War ended in 1922 with the Bolshevik Communist Party victory. In the same year, Lenin suffered a series of strokes which left him unable to speak or write, and 2 years after that, he died in 1924. Lenin did not live long enough after the Bolsheviks' victory. After his death, Joseph Stalin, a ruthless dictator, rose to the power and ruled the Soviet Union.